Ladies and gentlemen, the moment that nobody has been waiting for has finally arrived. The spin-off of WandaVision that nobody asked for, about the character that I barely remember, has finally been released. Let's discuss.
Our content sucks. Our content sucks.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
The official premise of Agatha All Along says the story is set after the events of WandaVision, where the title character has to recruit some unlikely allies on her quest to regain her former powers. And apparently, the unintentional hilarity will ensue. Listen, I don't think that it's a stretch to suggest that a show like this is clearly not made for me. I think it's been made very clear, very early on, that Agatha All Along is targeting a very specific audience. Granted, it's an audience that might not actually exist, but that remains to be seen.
It wasn't made for him.
Most of the interviews and promotion I've seen from the people who were involved in making this show talk about it in a very similar way to the way that the actors and producers talked about The Acolyte. Which seems like a bold strategy when you consider that The Acolyte was just recently cancelled after its first season. So this begs the question, is this Disney once again doubling down on a tactic that clearly doesn't work? Or is it possible that there's more to this show than meets the eye? The truth is that if this show is going to succeed, it is going to have to be about more than unprecedented LGBTQ representation as suggested. This is a series about a character that most people wouldn't easily recognize. And it's going to have to go the extra mile to find a large audience and keep them invested long enough to justify its existence. Being the quote-unquote gayest Marvel show yet, their words, not mine, cannot be the driving force of this series.
It's true.
So now that I've seen the first episode for myself, what are my first impressions? Well, the fact that they released 2 episodes for the premiere, and I'm only reviewing one of them, should tell you something. The thing that jumped out to me almost immediately about the first episode was something that a lot of Disney Plus shows tend to struggle with, that being the dialogue, or rather the delivery of that dialogue. Within the first 5 minutes of the first episode, I heard some of the most stiff and campy dialogue that I've heard in a long time. Most of which was delivered by lead actress Kathryn Hahn. A good portion of this episode is dedicated to Agatha, or rather Agnes in this situation, as a detective investigating an apparent murder.
Homicide, Ventura. How are you gonna solve that one?
Now, in fairness, it is eventually revealed that this is just another WandaVision-style illusion that she is trapped in. And apparently she has been stuck there ever since Wanda's death. And if I'm being honest, similar to WandaVision, the fake reality aspect of this show could have been one of the most interesting things about it. But it's actually underutilized to the point where you can't help but ask yourself why they didn't stretch this out a bit further to take up more of the series, instead of revealing it to be fake halfway through the first episode. It feels a lot like how The Acolyte was going for the mystery concept and then kind of ruined it in the first couple of episodes. It might have made for a much more interesting show to see Agatha this time coming to the realization that she is trapped in some kind of simulation. And she could have figured it out by going through with this fake murder investigation and eventually uncovering the truth. Instead of doing that, they take the opportunity to just make this episode about Agatha poking fun at tired cop cliches.
Ha ha, very funny, motherfucker.
Which brings me back to the dialogue, and I get it, maybe it was supposed to be quirky and funny, but the way that it's delivered, you aren't really sure of whether or not you are supposed to be taking it seriously or not. It just comes off as mostly bad dialogue that we can usually chalk up to bad writing. When Agatha starts spouting off things about not poking the bear, and where were you between this time and this time, it all comes off as very cringe. But then Aubrey Plaza's character enters the chat, and her dialogue somehow isn't quite as bad. Which again makes me think that it's the actors and not the writing But honestly, it could be both. Aubrey Plaza is the one bright spot of this otherwise painfully unnecessary show. Not only is she nice to look at, but her character does add the slightest bit of intrigue, if for no other reason because she has this unspoken history with Agatha, and for some reason she desperately wants her dead. The thing that felt a bit convoluted about all of this is that Aubrey's character is trying to free Agatha from the illusion initially, yet as soon as she is out, she tries to kill her, only to find out that because both of them are witches, she can't kill her, only for them to then come to the conclusion that she will come back to kill her when Agatha gets her powers back, because she wants her at full strength when she does it. So can she kill her, or can she not? Who can tell?
I don't get it.
There's an attempt to build a little bit more intrigue moving forward when Aubrey's character reveals to Agatha that the Salem 7 will be coming after her in the meantime. I'm assuming that these witch no-kill rules do not apply to them either. I have to be honest, with all these witchy exposition dumps, it's very hard to give a shit about anything. Other questions that linger after the first episode: who is the skinny kid that is tied up in Agatha's closet? Wait, he's literally in the closet? Never mind. What is the true identity of Aubrey Plaza's character? She claims that people are going to lose their mind when they find out. Is Catherine Hahn being the first person to say "eat my ass" on Disney Plus really one of the things that Marvel fans live for? We need to know the answers to these questions, and we need to know now.
Nobody likes a smart ass, alright?
In the end, the first episode of Agatha All Along comes across as a poorly written, mediocre acted, tonally inconsistent show that is about on par with the rest of the Marvel Disney Plus series. It has all the potential to be just as cringe as She-Hulk, but with more of a Hot Topic spin. Is the much talked about representation enough to reel people in and keep them there? Probably not. So far, and granted I've only seen one episode, it doesn't feel like there's enough going on here from a story perspective to keep people's attention. If the whole premise of the show is Agatha getting her powers back just so she can have one final confrontation with her supposed arch nemesis, I'm sorry, but that just doesn't scream must-watch TV to me. At this stage in the game, I think Marvel Studios is desperately searching for wins. So this being the first project that was released post Deadpool and Wolverine makes it feel like Marvel doesn't really know what it wants to be anymore. It feels like they are caught somewhere in between where they were heading and a massive course correction that's on the way. And it does feel like Agatha All Along is very much the remnants of an MCU that not a lot of people cared about.
Y'all be cool. Right on.